controversial subjects with the facts can be tense, but we are Ace Up Science here to make things make sense.
Yo, bro, you're gonna get the gains. You gotta make sure you get your pre-workout powder. Then I just picture a bro taking a scoop of dry protein powder right in the mouth. Cinnamon challenge. No, you just gotta make a lot of saliva. Just swallow it whole there, bro.
What is this that you're doing?
It's my bro voice, and it's just a guy.
Okay,
It's
this
a guy
is like seeing someone in real life.
It's a guy taking a scoop of protein powder without water, creating enough moisture through his saliva, and then just dummying it because he's like, "Oh, I'm such a bro."
I thought you were like talking about a commercial, and then I was like, I've actually never seen a commercial for protein powder.
Well, on TikTok, I get
Are
like
there?
the bros doing the pre-workout.
You
and they
have
scoop it in.
such
I
a
know.
funny TikTok.
I know.
You get all the
I
bros,
know.
and even sometimes the things you like. I'm like, why did you like this?
Okay, it's protein powder energy. The things I like are like how to get a bicep with lifting this weight this way. Well, I also have a separate podcast. Can I speak to the manager? Go follow. Wow.
Stop promoting it.
So much free promo. So much free promo.
Like, where's the check?
And that is run with my friend who is not gay like me. And I see straight TikTok on there and it's really fun.
That's like real
it's like
straight
I
TikTok.
go on it and I'm like, are you like
I
TikTok
think I
has
heard you
separated
say-
us. It's
we
like,
didn't say this
what is this?
on the pod, did we? Where you were like, I didn't realize girls also do like sexy ass things.
Yeah.
Because we're always seeing like dicks and jogging pants.
Literally, like I'm always seeing
And I
like,
was like, it's always-
thick male
and
asses,
abs.
like and abs working out. And then when I go on the other one, it's like a girl doing the exact same thing. And I'm like, wow, like duh, this is straight TikTok. Like,
Yeah, obviously. It's so funny how we live in such a bubble.
anyways, protein powder is advertised on TikTok.
Okay, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've seen. Maybe I've seen like protein bars promoted on TV, or like those like liquid chocolate like protein drinks.
Okay.
You know,
protein
what are those like
bars
called?
are so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like whenever I eat them, I'm like, this is cardboard. This is sick. I feel gross. What even is this?
I don't always feel that way. Some of them are not bad, and when they're like with dates, and you're like, oh, okay, it's really good.
Okay, because I feel like I always go for the peanut butter protein bar because I'm thinking I love a Reese peanut butter cup. Like if you're really gonna like help me, quote unquote, with my protein, I'm gonna go for this. And it is, I'm picturing a Reese, and then what I get is cardboard. And I'm always like, that was like
Can't live up
$10.
to,
Like
yeah.
this is crazy. Ooh, I could get into my first thing.
Okay, why don't we? Yeah, let's start talking about some science, and then we can talk more about our personal experience with protein.
Okay, so
did I
that,
do that?
yeah, no, it's your presenter voice. It's so fun.
And I feel like I'm like having. I think I'm just disorganized in my mind, and so I need to
You're-
like understand where we're going. And
That's
so it's
good.
like, okay, I'm going to like segment this section for myself to know what's happening.
Okay, that's really good. That's
and for the
great.
audience to be like, we're going to talk about the science.
You're
now.
reaffirming the listener to know where we're going. So what we are
Where we
about to
are.
do
Well,
is
who we are.
explain some science, and then what did you say? Get into our personal experience.
Yeah, there you go. You got it.
Okay, so essentially, this whole industry is very unregulated. Like that's probably what we're going to talk about a lot today. And when it comes to the actual protein on the packages and dietary, you know, like when you're looking at the protein bar, you're going, well, which one's got the most protein? It tells you
Yeah.
right here. So in America, in Canada, these are where the studies that I had found, it's not regulated enough for this to not happen. So essentially, whey and casein are the main,
Oh yeah, isn't that from eggs?
yeah, they're the main protein. Oh, sorry, that's Ernie. The main proteins you're going to be getting when you're taking a protein powder or a protein bar. And they actually have many of the essential amino acids that are necessary for your growth of muscles, which is the main reason why I think a lot of people are
Why
doing
it's
these
such a
things.
popular one? Yeah, yeah.
So what, like when you think of casein and whey, the things that you're probably spending your ridiculous amount of money to get in a powder form, because they
Yeah.
can actually like spray dry them and all these things and make it easy to
Yeah.
consume, is 63 to 50% beta lactoglobulin, alpha lactalbumin, and then bovine serum albumin, and 1% immunoglobulin G. And each of those have enough essential amino acids for it to be a valuable protein powder to be consuming. But what these companies do is they, on a microscopic like level, add in essentially cheaper amino acids like glycine and glutamic acid, which your body actually creates on its own. You don't need. They add that in so that when they create the packaging, there's actually a higher amount of like literally nitrogen containing compounds, which is how they decide how much protein's in things.
Oh.
And so they're
it's a
getting the
lie.
numbers up higher
By
for you to
inflating it.
buy. by adding these cheaper, like not the casein in the whey, which is actually the stuff that you want. It's more expensive and harder to get. They add glycine and glutamic acid. So, for example, there was literally like Body Fortress Advanced Whey Protein, which was sued because people looked into it. They said there was 30 grams of protein, but by chemical analysis on the microscopic level, they found out there was actually only 21.5 grams of whey protein. The rest were proteins your body can produce, like glycine and glutamic acid. 28.3% of it was not actually protein, and they all are probably doing this because it's not regulated to get the number up, so you buy it.
Yeah. Obviously, like you look on the package and you're like, sweet, if one scoop's gonna get me that much, it's better to have this one scoop than
Isn't
the
that
one that's half as
interesting?
much.
The scandal.
A literal scam.
Yeah, it's a scam, but it's so weird because like calories are kind of a scam. We all know dietary information is so
just
like
an industry.
Like it's just an industry of itself of lobbyists and like weird governmental like kind of vague things.
Yes.
So it's a scam, but it's also built in a system that we should all also remember is flawed to begin with.
Yeah, it is scary. I hadn't realized this before doing some of this research. Like, obviously, there is lots of research to support like consuming protein is in terms of like muscle building. Like, I can imagine a lot of people listening to this, and a lot of people buy that protein powder to specifically go with trying to like bulk up, right?
Yeah.
Or like get more fit. I mean, there's other reasons it can help you like minimize fat loss while you're also like, minimize muscle loss if you're in a calorie deficit.
Also weird, like I have vegan protein powder and now I'm like, wait, I need to do like more research on what's in that because I was looking at a lot of researches on whey.
It's usually pea, rice, and something else protein.
But I'm curious how much of that might be that's
totally,
like glutamic acid, and I'm just falling for it. Who knows?
I just have to say, glutamic acid.
Oh, sorry.
But no, I actually was like, am I crazy? I'm not correct.
No, I have never said a science word right in my life. It's like I thought it was Hermie one, not Hermione. Like I've Hermie one.
I wasn't like trying to
No, I've Hermie ones my way through science my whole life. Like in all like the lectures, I would just be like, oh yeah, glucose. Like, and they'd be like, glucose. Like, are you serious? They'd be like, yeah, well, I'm just gonna like, I don't know, if I take out like the oxygen here and I draw the chemical equation for glucose. They were like, no, like you need to go back to grade 11. So you're probably right. What is it?
Glutamic acid. Cool. But I actually think some people, probably especially British people, are like glutamic acid.
Yeah. Aluminium.
Aluminium. Yeah.
It's like, where's the I? Do they actually write it different?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Because like that was one of those weird British things. I'm like, there's no I there.
No,
folks.
I think it's spelled either way.
Oh no, so many kids probably wrote aluminium on their tests with me when I taught it, and I was like, wow, you really need to figure out how to write. It's not spelled like that. Big X in their word.
Oh my god. So okay, where are we? We're talking about how ultimately they were inflating protein numbers. My question was though, like, okay, obviously whey they're saying is the good one.
Not the good one. It's the one that
is
the essential amino acids.
Yeah, but
with casein.
So the other ones, are they not useful at all?
No, they're not useful. You literally
like,
get rid of them because you produce enough of them on your own. So now we should probably explain what an essential amino acid is, because that is a big
don't look
part.
At me.
Well,
I remember how to pronounce things. I don't remember.
You can do it. Explain it.
I guess an essential amino acid is just one that your body can't make, and as a result, you have to consume it from your environment in order for your body to like completely make proteins and everything in your body properly, right?
That was like, are you kidding? I'm crying. 4 out of 4 stars.
Oh, when you said 4, I was like, out of 10?
Oh, no. You know, like on science, when like there would be a long answer question, you'd always want to get 4 marks usually. It'd be like, you better hit the 4 points. Those would be the end of
I don't remember
tests.
that. No, but because you were a teacher, so maybe things changed. But I remember, and I don't know if the American counterparts will remember this, or if this is just an Ontario thing. When we went from like A grades to number grades, isn't that so weird?
Yeah.
And that a 4 was like the best.
A 4 plus.
4 plus plus even.
Yeah. Okay, shut up. I'm gonna drown you. There's no such thing as 4 plus plus. I don't even try and tell me you got one.
I didn't say I got one.
You're literally like, oh well, the 4 plus plus is that scattered across my report card. There wasn't a 4 plus plus. Don't let any Ontarian tell you that. That's a literal lie.
No, there wasn't on on report cards, but there was on tests.
Oh, shut up. The only way you can know that is that someone gave you 4 plus plus and that was a lying teacher. Or is your mom to you?
My mom would just add extra little
lessons. Dragging you.
Okay. Either way, sorry to distract. I just had a moment where I was like, it's so weird that like you said the number 4 and I was like, oh yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. So what I was picturing was that on science tests, usually for me, what I always found they would start with like very specific questions that would be worth like 1 mark. It would be like, in the end of photosynthesis, like, is an electron transported to an oxygen? And you'd be like, yes. And then you either or no, or like, right. Or sometimes they'd be like, correct the sentence as to why. That was another thing. You'd have to say no. And if you corrected the sentence to explain the right way the electron was accepted, you got 2 or whatever. The last were always worth 4. And it would be like, starting with the beginning, explain how the antidiuretic hormone reabsorbs water in the kidney. And then you'd have to like...
What grade is this?
Like 11 and 12.
Oh my God. I feel like I did not have that. Maybe I did.
No, I'm just like, oh my God. And now I'm like...
I was like, is this university?
Well, even in university, reach out if you had a 4-mark end to a science test, y'all. Because if not, I designed them like that as a teacher, and the kids were like, this is weird.
You just described tests that were way harder than tests I ever took. And to be fair, sometimes like I feel like people from my school went to university and we were like, we're dumb.
Well, know what it is? It's the Catholic school underfunding science. They're like, oh yeah, don't get the evolution unit out, folks. Just know, like, we're not allowed to say this, but like,
did that happen? Okay, I'm sorry, this is so off topic, but did that happen to you when you went to university? Like, I feel like everyone in my school had to realize, like, we are not as smart as other schools.
Wow, like me flicking my hair going, wow, I guess, like, to be honest, like, no. Like, I went to a public school in Toronto, incredible public education system, I must say.
In one of the richest areas in Toronto, I must say.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm not going to lie. Although in Toronto, the funding's interesting. You got more funding by the socioeconomic value of the parents being lower, which is fucking genius.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
TDSB rules.
Anyway, I just meant like I had a moment where I was like, I have to learn so much more. Like professors would sometimes be like, and so you should have learned this in grade 12. And people would be like, yeah. God, and I'd be like, I have to go and pretend, to study that somewhere else extra. Like in calculus, that happened all the time. I was like, we didn't learn this. And everyone would be like, oh yeah, that formula. And I'd be like, I have to learn so much more right now.
The little nice girl beside you, you grab her shirt. You're like, what is photosynthesis?
Yeah, it's like, I never heard of the word.
Never heard of photosynthesis. They're like, you've never heard of photosynthesis? You're like, all I got was 4 pluses.
All I got was phagocytosis.
Oh, I love that word.
Okay, sorry. Derailed completely.
No, it was still about science.
We were talking about where were you going with the 4 pluses?
Oh, I was talking about just like questions and like biological pathways and just like saying words wrong and stuff, and then we kind of like went from there to the
we've been gone that long. Okay,
do you want to say things?
Powder.
Yeah,
sure. In relation to what you were talking about with regulation, is I didn't realize that protein powders aren't regulated. I was getting mixed messages about Canada, and I think it is.
It's more regulated in Canada.
Yeah, and so, but the FDA considers protein powder a supplement, and as a result, it's not a food, so that doesn't, like, the manufacturers are responsible to evaluate the safety of their products.
Oh, we all know how that's gonna end,
yeah,
folks.
Exactly. Like, if they're already cheating the protein number in it, you think they're gonna care what else is in there?
Protein powder, where I trust corporations. Like, that's what you do every time.
So there was one of the biggest studies on protein powders. They screened 134 products or brands, maybe not brands, but products of protein powder, for 130 types of toxins that are found in a lot of protein powders, like heavy metals, which include arsenic, lead, mercury.
Lead, I heard, is like a big
BPA,
one.
which is used to make plastics, pesticides, or other contaminants that are related or linked to cancer and health. And they found like most of them had that.
Yeah.
And it was like one protein powder contained 25 times the allowed limit of BPA.
Oh, girl. That's so funny. Bros down in their protein powder. It's like, you realize you're getting the estrogen biomimicry of estrogen, just so you know. Oh, your balls are shrinking? Like,
so I just thought that is crazy. I saw a little tip online, and this, I don't know.
It was like, eat peanuts.
No, eat whole foods.
Yeah, eat peanuts and brown rice.
No, online someone said, if you look at the label, again, this is just me reading like a forum. If it says supplement facts, it's a supplement. If it says nutritional facts, it's a food. And so then I checked our protein powder, and it does say nutrition information.
Wow. Well, that's because it's vegan protein powder, so they're probably...
No, but the brand also makes like regular whey powder.
Right, and they might be like, oh, there's not much vegan.
It is, the one we get is a Canadian brand, so I don't know if it has to, like, maybe... I don't know. I'm sure there is a difference with supplements, but maybe because it says nutrition, they had to classify themselves as a food. And so when that happens, even in America, the FDA takes more responsibility in like guaranteeing safety or testing for safety.
Okay, I have one thing to say though, is that I have a recent study that quoted that exact study.
Oh no.
No,
Is
no,
it
no.
wrong?
It's not wrong. No. But what it did is that the BPA 25 times thing, it reiterates is true. But what they did is based on that study. This was 2020. I think that's from 2013, I think.
Oh, okay.
No. It's valuable because what they're saying is all these heavy metals are in this stuff. So we need to
Right.
do another study on this.
Okay.
So now in the discussion, they'll always link to why they're doing it. That's the exact study. Like I
They
read
were
those
like,
things.
okay, cool.
Yeah. So what they'd said though is that this was only using like picture like an MRI. This is only using visual, literally like electromagnetic waves to study the protein powder, like literally to see how much of each of those heavy metals are in there.
Okay.
And they did find that for all of them, if you had 3 scoops of the protein powder that day, every day, like for a year, it would not ever actually be enough to cause any physical issues. It's still low enough amounts of heavy metals.
I see. Even if
it's
it was
not-
more than the allowed, it was still
Yes.
within the range of not seemingly like exhibiting health impacts.
Exactly. And they did this because they kind of looked at that study and were like, we really need to figure this out. So they did like the best they could with like really up to date, like it's a bit hyperbolic, but picture like lasers that like read
Right.
on a small scale how many all the heavy metals are there,
Right.
but the amounts are too small. And they assume most people aren't having 3 scoops a day.
Okay, well, I actually had a study from
Imagine we just start-
2021 that actually said that one was wrong, and they went back to this one and said it was right.
Wait, are you serious? Oh my God. I was like, science is amazing. Science is a wavelength of a weird nuanced tension.
No, I was just feeling like you're like, yeah, well, your study's actually wrong, and I have a study to
I never,
show.
but that's the thing. I never said that was wrong.
I know. I just like clearly went there and was like, okay.
No, I thought it was actually exciting. It's like this is the science that looks at
totally.
that science to do more science. Like
Totally.
there's only a finite amount of people studying protein powder. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll say it. My study was older, and that's sometimes facts can be inappropriately used.
But
in a
it
way that
wasn't. That's the
in a
thing,
way
it's
that people
not.
aren't aware.
Oh,
It like
okay.
shows me like I didn't know all the up-to-date research about this. So
Yeah.
it's easy to sometimes see how online people can use all different assortments of facts that
Yes,
are in all
yes.
studies true in the study.
Yes,
That's what was
for-
found.
totally.
But then they may not know like, oh, but actually another study was done. Like a lot of people who think that vaccines cause autism don't know like there were so many more studies done like through all the years. And then that one was like taken away.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like,
It doesn't mean that didn't exist at a certain point.
yeah, and it's not
Yeah.
that somebody's like, some people think that you're saying, well, you didn't read anything, you're just stupid,
No.
you just believe it. They're like, no,
Huh,
there's
that's
research.
interesting.
So anyway, I just was like, in that moment, like,
Well, that's the thing. That research is correct. That research led.
right, it found all of
And
the
what it's saying is that
amounts.
it contained heavy metals, and this
right,
That's
this
a fair
didn't say
statement.
how, yeah, it was just like seeing how much, but you're saying
Like-
it wasn't enough to like hurt anyone.
Know what is still true, folks? Your protein powder has arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and lead in it. It just is not enough.
Right.
But also,
To-
okay,
to
lead.
make
You know
sure.
how I always am like lead. I always just picture a pencil. I'm like, why is that bad? So it's because
too.
okay, so high
I was like,
doses
oh,
of
don't draw on your skin.
yeah, I know, but it's like high doses of lead in the body. Lead physiologically and from a biochemical perspective competes in your body with calcium. So it's like it looks literally it's so similar as an ion that it affects neurotransmitter release, heme synthesis, which results in nervous, hematological, reproductive, and renal effects. So it's literally
Wow.
that the lead takes over the biological processes of the calcium that's needed in your
Right.
neurons and things like that.
So then it
so it's
just
like a
fucks
slow. Isn't that? I know. So it made me be like, lead's bad.
That's really scary.
Yeah, because I've always been like lead. Like, why is this? If I ate this pencil,
You know
why is that
what
bad?
is so interesting is to think about. I know this this could get really morbid. I'm not trying to be, but like when you think about diseases or even like that kind of sickness, like an exposure to something, and you think about it at the molecular level, like you just described, and to me that reminds me of when you learn like what carbon monoxide does in your hemoglobin.
Oh my God. It's
and how
exactly
it's like
that.
way more. It's way more
Binds to your-
strong to bind,
yeah,
so your
heme.
oxygen literally can't bind, and then you can't breathe. But
That's
it just
exactly
But
it.
there's something almost more icky to me when I imagine it. Like it is more even knowing that adds a layer of the visceralness
Of fear.
of suffocating.
Oh
to
God,
death.
stop! Oh my God, yeah, this is
When you
morbid.
know what is
It's
happening
happening.
physically
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
scary, but
Wait, why are you saying this? I'm literally having a panic attack.
because you talked about lead,
That's exactly what it's doing. Yeah, I know.
it freaked me out. I was
Okay,
just bringing
okay.
up that it
You're like
freaked me out.
reiterating the pain of a lead poison. I'm like, yeah.
No, but even without thinking of the pain, like I actually think
Yeah.
that thinking of what's molecularly happening makes me feel more viscerally uncomfortable
yeah,
than
for
just
sure.
knowing like, oh, they had lead poisoning.
I've
I've heard that before, and I've
Yeah.
been like, oh, that sucks. I don't really know what that means.
Oh my God, I love science so much. It is like so spiritual and crazy, and like in a weird spiritual way, learning that like how the death will actually happen microscopically is spiritual in some way.
Oh yeah, it's crazy
Because it is like it is true. Like you know what I mean? I'm like, I always breathe deep and just think about the literal oxygen molecules. I talk about this all the time. Going between that tiny ass little frickin' membrane into my blood, and then all the CO2 is going out. I'm like, that is fragile, my friends.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy. And sometimes I
and
always
that keeps everything going.
everything going in your whole
Existence.
consciousness. It is crazy.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
no, like we are going down an
Look at the places
existential hole.
protein powder brought
I
us.
know. Well, it's true because you're poisoning yourself if you have more than 3 scoops potential per day.
That's
You might
how
get
we got
lead
here,
poisoning.
yeah.
But also, I thought that was interesting because it's like, for sure, if you look up on pop science, they will say there's trace amounts elements of heavy metals, and that's worth knowing.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to do any physical damage, they said. But that's still scary.
Hopefully. I mean, that's that one thing, one big caveat is that there is not long-term studies on protein powder.
And there's also not regulation.
Well, I just mean even protein powder as a concept, I don't think as a consumer good has been around long enough to know what happens if you eat it for 50 years straight.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like there's obviously research being done, but it's kind of a newer phenomenon that it's like maybe by the time we're 80, they'll be like, oh yeah, these longitudinal studies can now show us.
Yeah. But that's so
All these
so
things.
much.
That's everything.
That's everything. Yeah, that's literally
But I mean,
that's everything.
sometimes we find out things were much worse for us than we realize. Like cigarettes are a perfect example.
Yeah, I know. Now we're like,
Hopefully this is
it's
not
social
that.
media algorithms.
It's like it literally probably is.
I'm like, well, everyone's suppressed with social media algorithms.
That's only like 5 years old.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
it's true. And I'm like, we got to regulate them, folks, and protein probably, protein powder.
Okay, I wanted to ask you like, what do you think of protein powder personally, and like, how much do you take, and what is your relationship?
Yeah, so
to it?
literally drag me through the absolute mud. I take protein powder every day.
I'm like, so I need you to fess up.
Yeah,
and-
like I knew that's what
No,
this question
so
was.
do I.
It was just like, okay, yeah, I have.
We're vegetarian.
Really embarrassing TikTok algorithms where I learn about a bicep growth. So it started definitely with being vegetarian, but also now I'm like, yeah, I'm like in my life. ASAP Science is in a really good place. Like I feel like I work less, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna work the frick out, yo. And I also need to be physically active in order to feel happiness, and I've known that about myself. So I honestly bike, work out a lot. And I think that what happens is, as a vegetarian, that's just me copping out. Know what? I just take protein powder because I just want to make sure I have enough protein in order to keep up with the absolutely shredding my muscles in the gym.
Oh my God.
I literally want to die. I want to die as I say it out of my mouth. So that's just it. And I'm trying so hard to feel the fat. And like without it, I get depressed.
No, it's fine. I think so.
And I feel sick. I think I might have lead poisoning. I'm kidding.
No, like we both have gotten more interested in fitness in the gym. Like I think you've always been active. You've always played sports. You've always been outdoorsy. But in the recent years, both of us have been more interested in like working out.
And I think it has to
the
do
first
with
time.
my privilege. I feel like ASAP Science,
Right,
we've
it
gotten
was the
into a place
benefit
where
of-
in the past I was working
Yeah, not
so hard
focusing
that
on
I
physical
couldn't. I was like unhealthy because I was just focusing so much on work and building this thing. Now I have such a balanced life that I have an opportunity to go to the gym every day without having to even worry about my schedule and things like that. I think that's
Yeah.
also a huge privilege.
That's definitely part of it.
That I have.
I also like had a crazy back problem that I had to get solved, and then once I was in the environment after I felt it was a lot better, I was like, now I want to actually.
We're just like literally
Justifying
thinking of
so-
all of our
coming to
excuses as to why we just like dummy protein powder and make fun of people who do.
So I was gonna bring up. It's interesting because like many sources would say if you're not like working out, like they recommend 46 grams per day for women and 56 grams of protein powder per man.
I eat way more than that.
Exactly. So I
I
find it
eat
interesting
so much protein.
Now that we're in sort of like not a community, but we both.
Oh my god, Mitch! We can't be recording this. It's so embarrassing. now that we're in the fitness community, I'm going to hurl myself over that railing.
No, I don't mean that. Especially, I don't mean it online. I just mean, okay, maybe it's not the same for you. I'm going to speak for myself because I'm not embarrassed about this. Because I've just, for the first time ever in my life, been confident enough to go to the gym.
Okay, yeah,
Ever.
sorry. What did you mean by community? What's wrong with me? Why am I freaking out? Why am I anti-community?
Because you have a cringe meter that sets off really easily.
Yeah, okay,
but it's
sorry.
like, I am okay being cringy.
Okay,
and
yeah,
I will
that's
take
so
it.
beautiful.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, we are not that into fitness. But I just mean, I was afraid of the gym for like my whole life. And then only went because my back. And now I'm like, I feel confident in a gym. So now I'm like talking to people at a gym who care about fitness and learning from them. So I don't mean like I'm in a community of fitness people. I just mean for the first time ever, I have talked to people about fitness and looked it up. And
we're doing a podcast about protein powder because it's on my mind.
Exactly. And so it's interesting because in those communities, like online, people are like, oh, you need to have like 3 times that amount is what it's recommended for me.
Now I'm going to be like, I'm part of the LGBTQF community. That's lesbian, gay, tri-gender and queer and into fitness.
Oh my God.
I put the F on my community.
You're so annoying.
No, I have a serious issue like with this and like talk about in therapy and just relates to so many parts of my personality that I'm trying to work on. But I actively don't want to be in the fitness community that like when I would go to F45 and someone would be like, yeah, just do it. I'd be like, no. And then I would like people would be like, hey, how was your night? And I'd like look at them and be like, we're not talking. I am here to work out and I am not becoming part of this community. It was like psycho. Like, I have a legit have a problem. Everyone was like, wow, here comes the meanest guy I've ever met. I'm kidding. But know what Brian said recently that was really funny? And he was like, yeah, like I never go to the gym because I'm so scared. He was like, once I remember in university, I was just trying to get into the gym and I was like pulling like the back thing. And this guy came up to him and he was like, you know what, man? Like if you move your arms like this, you'll do even better. And he's like, I did one. And I was like, no, I'm done. Like I cannot handle. The guy was like, I'm actually done and just left. And he's like, never gone back.
Oh my God, like the gym is so scary.
It's so weird. He was like, gyms are toxic, scary, evil places. And I was like, I guess they like kind of are, but they're not, right?
They can be, I think. But then when you become part of the community, you feel different.
When you join the F community, when you add F to LGBTQ.
Yeah, it is.
To
it
us,
is just having to, it's like going through that thing of, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I feel like we're talking lingering too long on this. Anything else about protein?
Oh, I thought you were gonna like drop a bomb on the community points.
No, I don't. Was just like I feel like bad.
I don't have anything else. Those are the only. There's not that much research on it. Like those are the only studies I actually found. The rest was like really weird. Like it was more about just like proteins and how they study them in their bodies, and they would give people protein powder to study certain things. It wasn't about the protein powder. Was what I read, and I was like, this is not really related to what
like that
I'm thinking about.
Yeah, totally.
It's under research.
What else was I going to add? Oh, like the only other thing health-wise is it's like some protein powders are like really high in added sugars. Like they're not always good for you in terms of health benefits. Obviously, there isn't like extreme long-term studies or anything. And obviously, there is lots of studies that do show it improves like your ability to build muscle. Mm-hmm. But I think for like just the side effects that they're like for some people, it causes indigestion. Like it can be not always a positive thing for everyone.
Also, it kind of is like having a connection to your food, I think, is important for a lot of things like mental health, like even just like understanding and like gratitude for the world and the food you eat. There's something about protein powder that like honestly I think like disconnects me from
it's like
nature.
Synthetic. It feels like
it's like
no, it is bizarre. Like, but I mean, the world is just more that way now because it's like
soil
medicine.
Energy,
or even just if you think of like people would have had like herbal medicine for most of time, and now we have like synthetic pill medicine. And in the same way, like we only would have had whole foods, but now we have like a lot of almost like synthetic food.
Yeah, you know, Ensures, those like nutritional like breakfasts.
I tried to remember. That's what I was thinking of earlier.
Oh, like I remember I knew the name because like once when I was like in teachers college and was like, it's just so busy, like trying to do ASAP science and like teach kids, I would like lean into the fact fact that I get up early and be like, "Duh, I need an Ensure on like at the convenience store on the way to the bus. Because it was like,
That was
and I would like
really-
go in like flustered because I was so stressed and just be like, I need an Ensure.
It's like
yeah, like I don't even have
little
time.
petite Danone, but for like adults,
yeah.
right?
And it was like I really felt like that I was like drinking this Soylent, like as if I was doing something. And now looking back, I'm like, what was that? It was probably literally
Chocolate.
heavy metals and like
27
glutamic
grams of
acid
sugar.
and sugar. Like, why was I not just like, you know what I mean? Literally just eating a Danone, petite Danone, which is right beside it.
That's so funny.
But
Oh
yeah.
my god, yeah, we should look into those things because those things were marketed so heavily when we were young. Like, there's so many yogurts, and stuff that was like
Give
good for
me
your
your-
microbiome, but
me
then now
mama.
everyone's like, no, but there's so much sugar in it.
Remember
it's candy.
You remember the like yogurts advertised to like skateboarders, like give me your
Yeah,
me mama.
with the mouths, like,
yeah,
so
and
big.
it was literally like yogurt with Kool-Aid ass amounts of sugar in it, and it was just like a fruit roll
So
up but in
that
a new packaging.
is weird that this is just like, how do I describe it? This is what makes me think we'll never actually know what's healthy, because at the time that was marketed so strongly as healthy. And
No,
not-
Yopes weren't.
They weren't, but in a general,
Like calcium,
yogurt
I guess?
became
Oh, yeah,
associated.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if a parent was going to give a kid yogurt, that was a
Yeah.
better choice
And you know
than
what?
chips.
It's related to protein. It's related to giving your kids protein.
Yeah.
That's why yogurt became and still is such a
Right.
staple for kids, because it is high in whey and casein in these things
Right.
that are essential amino acids.
But then you realize, and maybe people at the time didn't really think about how sugar was so bad for you, and now we're like, oh no, but it's not worth it if there's like literally like a pound of sugar.
yeah,
in
if it's
there.
light blue yogurt, it's like you gotta maybe check it out. Like blue ain't in nature that
So
much.
now
folks.
everyone's like, okay, you actually need yogurt, but there can be zero sugar.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
maybe and there'll be
Oh
other
my
things
god!
in the future.
Like,
that,
where were you when you started to buy Greek yogurt? Like, I know exactly where. It was.
and where were you when you realized like these things that we thought were healthy were
Yeah.
actually so bad for
I'm like,
us?
I like when my yogurt now is tangy and tastes a little wrong, and it's from Iceland and it smells bad. Like, that's like what yogurt became.
Yeah.
It was like,
And
it's
you had
not
to
real if
justify
it's
it
not
by
like
being
fart
like-
smell.
But now we're so used to it.
Yeah, I am.
I know. I remember the first time. I honestly remember you being like, "Have you heard of Skyr?"
I'm white. I'm granola white. What can I say? That's
And you're
my
like,
culture.
"It's from Iceland."
It's like literally Skir is my culture. Like you know, really pressed Greek yogurts with no liquid left in them is my culture.
That smells like feet.
I guess that's Greek culture, so it's not.
But
mine,
it is good. It is honestly good. I mean, I think Skyr is from Iceland, though, right?
No, it is.
There's
That's the
probably like
whitest of them
some
all.
similar, yeah.
A lot of it's
process, but-
turkey based.
Yeah.
The country.
Yeah, no, ultimately now I am like, oh, I really love and appreciate like even going to like Mediterranean restaurants where you get all these different forms of like
Labne.
labne and stuff where you're
Yeah.
like, this is all similar and
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just that's the thing of our time. Kids don't know. We grew up without that. We grew up with Yelp. Okay. Things were different. Yeah, no. So I'm making a video on what happens if you only eat protein powders. So I'll, shout that out when that comes out, because that's going to give you a lot more information about what's lacking if you just eat protein powder, which I assume no one's doing, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting
Yeah.
to think about that. It makes me so curious. Like, yeah, what are the good and bad effects of it?
And I'm always curious, like what like bros aren't consuming.
I will say, I had read some like medical people giving their opinions on like doctors and stuff, and the general consensus from most of them is like, it's maybe like you should just be getting it from Whole Foods if you can.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
sometimes they would acknowledge it maybe as a vegetarian or someone who's having a harder time reaching those amounts. But they were like, if you can get it from chicken or eggs or peanut butter, like it's probably just better to do it that way.
Yeah, they in that study of the one about yours, they talked that although all these heavy metals are in it, and although these specific proteins and whey are in it, which have all the essential amino acids, they are like biochemically, it absorbs more in your body when you get it from like nuts and brown rice.
Yeah, that's
and
often
whole
the case,
oats, because
yeah.
So they were always like, it's
And
not
probably it just like
the
it feels
equivalent,
intuitive, and obviously like we rather not just live on intuition, but it's like eating foods like is obviously what the humans like evolved on.
Yeah, it's true. Even the
Maybe
concept
that's
of
a bias
chewing.
though. I sometimes am like, if scientists design perfectly
this is interesting.
replicas in your body at the molecular level, you know what I mean? I think this is what is
Yeah.
happening in science right now. A big study came out recently about fish oil where they realized it does not absorb in the same way. Like if you eat a fish or have fish oil, it's like a totally different process in your body. And sometimes people will say that about like, even though fruit has a lot of sugar, it actually like your insulin doesn't spike as much when you have a fruit versus like sugar in a cube.
So this is okay. We have to end soon because like this is really interesting, and it does relate to protein powder in the sense that it has to do with like eating. But I always think about this with science because we've come so far with like human understanding, human history, even archaeology to understand humans and our bodies, like even hundreds of thousands of years ago. And there's always this like thing that we do when we come to diet to relate back to hunter-gatherers because on an evolutionary scale, it's not that long ago. So it's still really valid to understand that like chewing does start biological processes in your body. And that makes sense. But I am like, you're right. Things like there also would have been, let's just say, a lack of protein in their bodies. I mean, this isn't necessarily a fact, but like I'm just saying, hundreds of thousands of years ago, they weren't
optimized.
Yeah, they didn't understand biochemistry. To optimize. So I'm just like, I agree. I think it's important for us to always relate to hunter gatherers and remember it's not that long ago in terms of evolution and a lot of the science we understand. But we also have this whole other thing, which is this like deep understanding that sometimes it's easy to just rag on it because it wasn't quote unquote natural from then. Right. That sometimes I'm always like, there is bias. There is sometimes you have to figure out, know enough to be like, where is the actual line for me or whatever, or the closest science.
And we'll never know
laws of nature,
but until we get like studies that are like 70 years long, and then we have like really good evidence that actually it's one way or the other.
But even then, things are so different.
Oh, and
like,
it just changes.
Humans are so like deeply like intelligent and conscious and like the way that we live our lives, things are just going to continue to be changing so quickly.
And you just constantly realize like every generation looks back and it's like, oh my god, they were so dumb, they didn't know anything.
And it's like, and I'm sorry, it's like, and there's a chance we don't last so much longer because we literally are so bad at it and we're changing so much that we just ruin the planet and it fixes itself and literally mollusks take over.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, like, we're so smart and we're so fast beyond almost our own
we just can't know
comprehension and like even what's good for us. We're too smart.
We'll never know. We'll
never know too. That's true. That's true.
Well, let's end on that. We'll never know.
Let's end on a little pessimistic Greg future energy, which will always come through.
We're all going to die and it doesn't matter. Okay.
And that doesn't matter. Yeah, and that's beautiful. No way hope thrives in the future. Trees, because they're sitting around being like, come on, people, let's calm down. Okay.
Screaming. Great for you.
Yeah.
You're dead. Doesn't that freak you out?
Yeah, the tree's still alive.
Yeah, and you want to be dead? What is being dead to you, Gregory?
But I get absorbed by that tree. Hello. To me, science is spiritual.
Okay. As does your consciousness. Goodbye. Thanks for listening.
Wow.
See ya.